What's up, guys? Back for another one. So we have Donald Trump in the office, or I don't know, he hasn't been signed in yet or whatever the fuck, but he has been kind of technically elected as president. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure what's actually going to go on moving forward, if he is actually going to be the president or not. I don't know. I've heard some people talk about different things, and it might just be like the off chance, like a super hopeful thing where it's like, oh, hopefully this happens or something, you know? So I have no idea. Probably not. Like, there's probably like a less than 5% chance of that happening, honestly. Or else it would have been talked about much more, I think. But yeah, so I didn't want to make a video. Like, at first when he got elected, I was pretty angry. And I thought that he shouldn't have, I just thought that shouldn't have happened. And I thought that, and it just blew me away, because nobody that I, no sources that I have or no information that I watch, like, they were all like a little bit scared. They were like, there is the off chance, like there is a possibility, like if this happens and that happens and whatever. So my point is, I think everybody was fucking shocked that he won. They just assumed that Hillary would, or I did. I just assumed that Hillary would win, honestly. So about Donald Trump, and how do I feel about it? Like, I don't like to do, I don't like to give like a gut reaction on things, because it's not based on information. The only opinions I have are based on facts that I see, right? And so I have opinions based on Trump, but the thing is that I just don't trust him, right? And it's kind of from my end, from my judgmental end, it works in his favor, because he literally has been on both sides of every issue. Like, he's said speeches that were pretty much blatant copies of Bernie Sanders speeches. Like, he talked about the exact same talking points of Bernie Sanders. It could have been the same, you know what I mean? It could have been Bernie Sanders making the speech. And then he's talked at other times, depending on who he is, who his audience is. He's talked about, super racist things like, we need to carpet bomb the Middle East, and we need to go in there, extract the oil, and kill everybody, kind of thing. So that's super worrying. And like, so the kind of judgment I have is just, he is just saying whatever he can to get in. Like, if anybody had followed Trump when he first started running, when there were 16 candidates, they would see, they didn't even need to pay as close attention as I did. If they just tuned in like 2 or 3 times a week to Donald Trump and just saw and just heard what he had to say, you would realize very quickly that he, I realized very quickly that he is just pandering to whoever will give him votes. And he has this idea, like he did very well with this. Like, he had this, and he took advantage of every opportunity. He was very, he honestly did a really good job of running his campaign and running like a sales job campaign. I have to say, like, he never really let up. He was constantly kind of surfing the tides of whatever the fuck talking point was going on at that point. And he did it in a way where it just always got him more attention. And people were always talking about him, and the news was reporting on him. Like, they added up the totals for CNN, and they said that CNN made profit a total of $1 billion off of Donald Trump's run for presidency. So like, that gives you an idea of how much Donald Trump used the mainstream media and used the kind of like short attention span of kind of what I would call entertainment news, you know, or what a lot of people call, I shouldn't say, I'm not the one making that up, everybody calls it that, but like infotainment. Like, they give you some info, but it's entertainment. They try to keep you there so they can make money off advertisements, and they kind of let you know what's going on, but in a skewed way, because fear-based news gets more hits. And you know what I mean? Like, there's no fucking terrorism threat in America. Maybe there is now, but like, they're really, like, you're literally more likely to get killed by lightning in America than killed by a terrorist. So, like, but the news talked about terrorism, you know, more than any other single topic. So, of course, when a candidate comes onto the picture saying, "Oh, we're gonna kill all these vermin that are terrorizing us," and when the media says there is actually terrorism, and then somebody says, "Oh, we're gonna kill all the terrorism," people get scared from the media, and then they're like, "Oh, this guy's gonna save us. Thanks." But really, ultimately, there is no threat. There was no threat. There was some terrible terrorist acts that took place in the States, but they were very sporadic. It was like one every, not very often. Like, they were very small. Like, you were very much more likely to get killed by a white person on a gun rampage than a Muslim on a gun rampage in the States. So to give you an idea, like, that's like, you're like, terrorism is not a threat to people. Like, if people were scared of terrorism, it was just because the media, like CNN and MSNBC and the mainstream, like, on, you know, you're flipping through the channels and you see terrorists warning in wherever or something, you know, like, that kind of shit causes people to be scared. And then you get a politician like Trump that says, "I'm gonna carpet bomb them," and then people are like, "Oh, that's good, I feel safe when he's around." And then but they really don't actually know what's going on, and they don't know that carpet bombs are, like, you literally can't use them because they're illegal to use. I mean, like, not that I'm saying, like, everybody follows the rules, but it's literally a war crime to use carpet bombs. So, whatever. I think, so, like, just on every issue, he's just, like, really anti-humanitarian. You know what I mean? Like, why don't we move into a world where we're not fighting wars and we're just, like, helping, like, it's just, you just get a good start in life. You just have, you know, like, the opportunity is there. You get fucking healthcare, you get schooling, you know, free trade schools or free community college or whatever you want to, however that looks. The point is, like, people need to start realizing that, like, there's only so much money that they receive from taxes. And the politicians do a very good job of making it seem so complicated about where they put that money. Oh, it's so complicated and it's so rigid. How do we move it? We need to deliberate for 8 months to move a dollar from one place to another. But then there's so much wasted money, and it's bad. It's very easy to see right now, because right now there is a diverse range of political management in different countries around the world. So, like, look at Scandinavian countries, look at how they do things, look at their economy, like if you just take a look, you can see that this idea that we need to just live in a capitalistic society and work every day of our lives until we're 60 just to scrape by it, like, is absurd. It's really absurd at this point where, I mean, I love working hard. I love doing that, but it's really demotivating when you know, or when you know if your tax dollars are being wasted. Like, if I lived in the States and I was paying tax, like 40% of their taxes go into military. I'm pretty sure, like, nobody in the States wants to continue fighting wars. Like, nobody is down for that. And so they need to create crisis. Like, they need to create issues so that they can go to war, so that they can continue to fund these companies that create arms. Because if they're not, then they, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, I'm not saying it's like a weird conspiracy. I'm not saying anybody's like, you know what I mean? But, like, people are making money off of this. It's private corporations that are being hired to make the weapons. So it's a perverse incentive structure. You are the incentive of the company is to have conflict in the world. If there's no conflict in the world, then they will go out of business. So you can't have a company set up and be that large that will go out of business if the war ends, right? Like, oh, that pisses me off so much. It's just so obvious that I'm not saying they're like starting wars or creating wars or whatever, but there's definitely a push to keep wars going in that industry in some way. I honestly don't know why, but, like, you just see it in any other industry. You give a company or an industry the ability or just the leeway to move in one direction. Like, companies don't have a fucking conscience. They're not like, oh, we should do this for this reasons. No, they are solely, the sole purpose of a company is to make money. Like, you can't reason with a company. You can't be like, hey, I know you're making some good money, but can you, like, hold off because, a bunch of people are dying or whatever. Like, there's examples all over the world in almost every industry of companies overreaching their bounds and making things dangerous in one way or another for the sole purpose of making more money. Right? That, like, it happens all of the time. It's I talk to people. I know I shouldn't be talking about this to people like randomly unless I know that they are kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so I think Donald Trump, like, for those people, in my opinion, I think how it works is they just do whatever they can. They set up a plan to create conflicts, and they pay off whoever they need to get that done. And so with a candidate like Donald Trump, who said he was going to carpet bomb the Middle East and do horrific things to the Middle East and the countries there, I think it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to be working with Donald Trump because conflict is in their best interest, and that is super scary. I don't know. Yeah, that just the whole idea of that is really scary to me. Because I just don't see it going well. I just don't see it, like, if you just play it out, it just doesn't seem like a good situation. But yeah, and, like, just literally on every issue, I just think it's going to be a complete disaster. The one good thing that I think will come out of it is it'll wake people up, because they've been so comfortable in that country for so long. And yeah, lately there's been a downturn, and that's as a result of neoliberalism, as a result of Bill Clinton. Really, he was the one who destabilized or helped to deregulate the markets, which led to the destabilization of the housing markets. And so I do get it. Like, I'm not like Hillary should have been elected at all, because I mean, Donald Trump is here, and what can you do? But I really hope that what happens is he goes in there and he shakes it up, and he gets people uncomfortable, and he gets people noticing the little things that they can do, or the little things they've been missing in politics. Like, I really hope that happens. It'll either go one way or the other. It'll either go, people will become aware of what's going on and they'll fight back against it, or Donald Trump will shut down all communication, just be super secretive about everything, and just make these backroom deals, and his family will just make so much money off of him being president. Yeah, and here's my economic forecast. So Trump is going to deregulate the markets. I don't know which markets. I think it'd probably be easier to list the major industries he's not going to deregulate. And yeah. And so what that's going to do is that's going to create a short-term economic growth period, and it'll be based on inflation. I'm not huge knowing what I'm talking about on this, but this is what I heard from people who really do know what they're talking about. So he's going to deregulate the markets, which is going to create inflation and give the impression that the markets are doing well. Now, the problem with Donald Trump is all you need to do is convince people that things are going well, and they'll think that they are going well when you just hide the actual statistics. You know what I mean? If it's all over the news that, oh, Donald Trump's new economic plan is bringing great prosperity to the United States, you just tell people that, and they're like, oh, that's great, that's good for us. But nothing, like, it's actually not. If it's actually not doing that, then they'll vote him in again, and then it will go down, and then it's just like the same thing. You get a fucking Republican in, they tank the fucking economy, they leech as much money out of it as they can, and then you get a Democrat in, they're blamed for the bad economy, they turn it around, they make it correct, and then since they're blamed for the bad economy, you hire another fucking Republican again. Now they're gonna destroy the fucking economy again. It's kind of a thing that just keeps happening. Like, George Bush destroyed the economy, completely decimated it, just sucked all the money out of it. And then Barack Obama honestly did really well, and he made things very good. Like, he turned it around, like, and did a very good job of it. But people hate him because they blame him for this or that. Like, they think he's literally like Hitler. Like, some people, like, it just is like, do you understand what he's doing, or do you just listen to fucking CNN or something, or like fucking Fox or Alex Jones? Holy shit. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm not super hopeful on Trump. I don't I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the United States or the world. And that's just, I wish I could just be like, oh, it'll be okay. Like, yeah, it'll be okay. I wish I could just ignore it, you know, just become ignorant to things all of a sudden. No, I don't wish that actually, but I just don't see it going well, and I don't mean to be super negative. It's just how I feel. I can't, you know, I'm not here to, like, I really think that pumping sunshine and just saying like things are good when they're not is a detriment to every single person involved in that conversation or whatever it is, because it just doesn't help. You need to look at things through reality. The reason why we're in this mess with fucking Trump is nobody sees the reality. Nobody wants to see the reality because they're so busy and they're so caught up with their own stresses in their own lives that they don't want to feel uncomfortable. And they would need to learn and get uncomfortable for a bit and learn a bit more who they are and do all that before they would, you know what I mean? And people, I'm talking about like the general population that don't pay attention to politics because it makes them uncomfortable. And really those are the people those are the people, and that is the reason why Donald Trump is elected. I think the world's going to kind of learn a big lesson in politics, because we have the ability to share information so fast and so readily that I don't know, there's already some terrible shit going on. Like in the Philippines, a Filipino, I don't know what he is, a dictator or a president or whatever, but he literally has ordered the execution of drug addicts in that country. And I'm a recovering heavy drug addict, and he would have had me shot. Like, I literally would have been executed in that country if I was doing what I was doing here. So and I mean, like, I'm not saying like maybe I wouldn't have done what I did here in that country, so but it's still a scary thing, because drug addicts and people like that need to be seen as mentally ill and as sick, and they can get better. They're not like the worst thing that society can do is just write them off as fucked up. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of pomp, to just assume that person can't get better. But the person who's saying that has overcome issues, right? Just they haven't overcome issues similar to a drug or something. Do you know what I mean? They've just had different issues. And so why is drug issues, why is that like, why do you become like a pariah of society if you're doing drugs? But if you're like if you're an asshole, right? If you're a drug addict and you hurt yourself, you're a pariah. But if you're an asshole, you get fucking elected as president.